So we're going to start today in standing. If you feel comfortable, shoes off. And then if you feel comfortable, you can also have socks off. Really working on feeling the floor. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to mute everyone.
Yep.
See, I just got going and...
Hey, Frank.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
One more second. Okay. All right, so we're starting and standing, feeling our feet. And I want you just to take note if you're standing more on the right, more on the left. Are you more forward today, or are you more backwards, or are you right in the middle? And here, I also want you to check in with your arch. Is your arch feeling lifted, or is your foot feeling fairly flat? And I'm just going to stop. Terry, your hair looks lovely. Before I forgot. And from here, let's work on doing some bigger weight shifts side to side. So as you're weight shifting, we're going all the way to one side, all the way to the other. And you can even lift up that foot as you're weight shifting off of it. Roll through it as you come back on. Let's do a couple more of these. So we're really figuring out where our base of support is. And then let's come back to center, trying to find center. And then we're going to work on moving forward and back. So when you're doing this, you can come all the way up onto your toes if that feels comfortable, and then back towards your heels. So we're starting with bigger weight shifts, and then we'll fine tune. So just warming up our feet and ankles. Really trying to get most of the motion through our feet and ankles, not so much our hips. Really trying to get that connection from our brain and our feet talking. All right, and then let's come back to center. Checking in, seeing where you're at. Again, are you more on the right? Are you more on the left? Are you more forward or backwards? And let's just try to find center. And if you feel comfortable, I'm going to have you close your eyes and really try to focus in on your feet. Feeling what's going on at your toes. Are your toes relaxed flat on the floor, or are they curled under for stability? Again, checking in with your arch. Is your arch lifted, or does it feel like your foot is rolling inward and flattening? Moving to your heel. Does it feel like the weight is in the middle part of your heel, or is it more on the inward or outward part? And this is just checking in with your feet, just feeling those differences. You may feel that there's a difference between your right and your left side. And I'm going to have us walk up to our knees. Do your knees have a soft bend in them? Or do they feel like they're locked out? I'm having us try to do this with our eyes closed if you can. Because sometimes it's easier for us just to focus in on what our body's doing without all that visual information. Okay. So we're just going to spend another minute here just checking in with our body. And then once you feel like you have a general sense of where your weight is and how you're standing, I'm going to have you work on getting more centered. So trying to be even between your feet. Trying to relax your toes and not use them to pull in and grip the floor. Working on keeping your arch lifted and not flattened. And then also working on just a slight bend in your knees, not locking out your knees for stability, just a small bend. Okay, and from here, let's work on just weight shifting forward and back. We're not going to do a big weight shift. We're going to work on just coming as far forward as you can before your heel lifts up. And then coming back as far back as you can before your toes come up. So this is really working on the limits of your stability, or how far you can come before you have to pull in other aspects of your body. And you may find from day to day that this changes. One day you may have a much bigger range of motion than another, and that can be related to stiffness, especially stiffness in the calves. All right, from here, let's do some circles. So we're going to work on moving through our feet in a clockwise direction. I want this to really think about drawing a circle around the outside edges of your feet rather than the motion coming from your hips. So I want your hips to stay fairly stacked over your feet rather than all of the motion doing like hula hoop hips. Let's do a couple more going clockwise. One more clockwise, and then we'll do counterclockwise. Okay, and let's switch directions. So as you're doing this, you're standing up nice and tall, keeping your posture stacked. Good. All right, so hopefully your feet and ankles are feeling warmed up. The next thing we're going to do, keeping your feet grounded. And I always think about your foot as having 4 points connected to the ground. So 2 at the top part of your foot by the ball of your foot, and then 2 by your heel. And let's work on just lifting your toes up for a toe wave and then bringing them back down. Lifting up and back down. You may find that it's helpful to do one side and then the other, or you can do both together. And this is just getting our brain talking to our feet. Let's do 2 more. All right, from here, let's come into a forward lunge stretch. So as we're here, we're opening up through our hip. We're grounding our heel down, really lengthening out your leg, getting hopefully a nice stretch in your calf. Standing up tall, keeping your posture stacked. And then from here, let's work on doing some weight shifting forward out of that lunge and then come back into the lunge. Weight shift up and then sink back down. Weight shift up, and you can even lift that leg. You can bring it into a little hip extension and then drop down. Lift up with a lift and back down. Up and back down. Up and back down. Up, back down. Let's do 2 more. Up and back down. 1 more. Up and back down. Let's switch legs and now go into a lunge stretch on your other side. So opening up the front part of your hip, hopefully feeling a nice stretch there. Lengthening your leg back, stretching your foot and your heel to the ground. You may feel some nice stretching in your calf. Trying to keep your posture stacked so you're standing tall. And then from here, we're going to just work on that weight shift forward. So weight shifting up. You can even lift your leg up into some extension and drop it down. And lift up and down. Up and down. Up and down. Up. Up. Down. Let's do 2 more. Up and down. Up and down. Let's bring our feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart. And I'm going to have us work on doing a side lunge here. And then we'll come back up to standing. And then a side lunge coming the other way. And back up. So just working on a bigger weight shift. Moving through our feet. Moving through our knees now and our hips. If it's comfortable for you, you can stick your tush out a little bit. Getting some nice stretching through our inner thigh. Each time you come to center, checking in with your posture, making sure you're standing tall. Let's do 1 more on each side. And then coming back to center, checking in with our feet, trying to find neutral, so making sure we're not too far to the right or to the left or forward and back. I'm going to have you check in with your knees. Make sure that they're not locked out, so just have a nice slight bend or softening in your knees. And we're going to work on just tilting our pelvis to get our pelvis moving. You can stay facing forward. I'm just moving to the side so you can see me a little bit better. So you're going to tuck your pelvis under and then rock your pelvis back. So I just think if you have tail feathers, like a peacock, that you're tucking them down and then you're sticking your tail feathers up and tuck and sticking your feathers out. You want to try to keep your upper trunk fairly stable. So you don't want to have it be this whole motion here. You want to try to get your pelvis moving. So often we get tightness in our pelvis, which can really impact our balance and then our walking. We need to be able to have pelvic motion to really have an efficient walking pattern. Let's do 1 more. All right. And from here, we're going to do hula hoop hips. So we're just working our way up our legs today to get warmed up. And so we're going to start going in a circle, just trying to make that circle as big as you can, like you're drawing it with your hips. As you're coming to the side, you may feel some nice stretching through your hips, and that is great. Let's do 1 more big circle here, and then we'll switch directions. So trying just to draw that circle with your hips. 1 more. And let's come back to center. And we're now going to work on moving our rib cage. So if you are familiar with cat and cow, we oftentimes do it on the floor or using a chair. We're going to do it in standing today. So we're going to breathe in and we're going to arch our back, lift our head, arms can come back. And then you're going to breathe out. You're going to rotate forward, drawing your belly in. You can bring your arms forward, tuck your head down. Breathe in, open up, lift your head, pull up from your chest bone, and then breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Let's do one more. Breathe in and breathe out. From here, let's work on moving side to side through our trunk. You can either have hands here, or if you'd like a little extra challenge to your balance, your arms can be up here. So standing tall, we're going to work on just side bending over, lengthening through that side. We're going to do 3 breaths here, really filling the side. So breathing in and out, breathing in and out, and breathing in and out. Come back up. If it feels more comfortable, you can go side to side. You don't have to do a sustained hold. Okay, so pulling up and then dropping over, lengthening through that side. Let's do 3 breaths. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Bring it back to center. Okay, one more time on each side. Pulling up, standing tall, and then stretching over, lengthening through that side. You may find you're able to go a little bit further this time. That's great. Let's do one more breath. And bring it up tall, and drop it the other side. And up, float your arms down. So hopefully you're feeling like you're having some more movement through your rib cage. One more exercise to focus on that. We're going to bring our arms out. You can have a big hand here. And we're going to work on breathing in and then breathing out. We're going to rotate back, trying to find a target behind you. Breathe in. Arms come in. Breathe out. We rotate back, opening up our chest. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Let's do 2 more on this side. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Bring it back to center. And let's do the other side. So arms can be out in front. You can have a big hand. And we do a big breath in and breathe out. We're rotating back, really reaching. Breathe in. Arms float forward. Breathe out. Rotate back, getting some nice twisting through our side. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. 2 more. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. And float it back in. Float your arms down. You may feel like you want to do some backwards shoulder rolls. All right, and then we can use our chair for support if you need to. And we're going to go to our hip circles. So this is the one where we like to draw the circle with our toe. So you're going to bring your leg forward, circle around to the back. I'm just going to move to the side so you can see me a little bit better. So forward, you circle around, come back. Here, if you feel comfortable, you're lifting and squeezing your tush, and you bring it in. We're going to do 10 in that forward direction, 10 in that backwards direction. Really focusing on keeping our posture stacked. For an added balance challenge, you can have hands on your hips while you're doing it. So standing tall, pulling up, bring your foot forward, and you're making that circle as big as you can. Squeeze your tush. That was 1. Bring it forward and circle. That's 2. Forward and circle. That's 3. Forward and circle. That's 4. Forward and circle. That's 5. Forward and circle. That's 6. Forward and circle. That's 7. Forward and circle. That's 8. Forward and circle. That's 9. Forward, circle. That's 10. Check in with your posture. Make sure you're standing as tall as you can. We're going in the backwards direction now. So standing tall, bringing your leg back, and we're circling around. That's 1. And bring it in. And back, circle around. That's 2. Bring it back and circle around. That's 3. Back, circle around. That's 4. Bring it back, circle around. That's 5. Back and around. That's 6. Back and around. That's 7. Back and around. That's 8. Back and around. That's 9. Back and around. That's 10. All right, let's shake it out through our legs. And then we're going to switch sides. So standing up tall, pulling up, we're going to bring it forward, circle around, really squeezing our tush, and bring it in. That's 1. Forward and around. That's 2. Forward and around. That's 3. Forward and around. That's 4. Forward and around. That's 5. Forward and around. That's 6. Check in with your posture. Make sure you're standing tall. Forward and around. That's 7. Forward and around. That's 8. Forward and around. That's 9. 1 more to go. Forward and around. That's 10. Check in with your posture. Make sure you're standing tall. Now we're going backwards. So bring it back and around. That's 1. Back and around. That's 2. Back and around. That's 3. Back and around. That's 4. Back and around. That's 5. Back and around. That's 6. Back and around. That's 7. Back and around. That's 8. Back and around. That's 9. 1 more to go. Back and around. That's 10. So again, just moving through our feet. And next we're going to do our lunge in the direction of that face of the clock. So you can either hold on to a chair, hands on your hips, and we do lunges in different directions. So we're going to start with 12 o'clock. So we'll lunge forward to 12 o'clock, and then you come into center. 1 o'clock, and into center. 2 o'clock, and into center. 3 o'clock, and into center. 4 o'clock, and into center. 5 o'clock, and into center. 6 o'clock, and into center. Switch feet. 7 o'clock, and into center. 8 o'clock, and into center. 9 o'clock, and into center. 10 o'clock, and into center. 11 o'clock, and into center. 12 o'clock, and into center. Now we're going counterclockwise. 12 o'clock, and back to center. 11 o'clock, and center. 10 o'clock, and center. 9 o'clock, and center. 8 o'clock, and center. 7 o'clock, and center. 6 o'clock, and center. Switch feet. 5 o'clock, and center. 4 o'clock, and center. 3 o'clock, and center. 2 o'clock, and center. 1 o'clock, and center. 12 o'clock, and center. We're going to do that one more time, both clockwise and counterclockwise. So if you can check in with your posture, grow even taller. Let's go. 12 o'clock, and center. 1 o'clock, and center. 2 o'clock, and center. 3 o'clock, and center. 4 o'clock, and center. 5 o'clock, and center. 6 o'clock, and center. Switch feet. 7 o'clock, and center. 8 o'clock, and center. 9 o'clock, and center. 10 o'clock, and center. 11 o'clock, and center. 12 o'clock, and center. Switch directions. 12 o'clock, and center. 11 o'clock, center. 10 o'clock, center. 9 o'clock, center. 8 o'clock, center. 7 o'clock, center. 6 o'clock, center. Switch feet. 5 o'clock, center. 4 o'clock, center. 3 o'clock, center. 2 o'clock, center. 1 o'clock, center. 12 o'clock, center. All right, so now we're going to keep going with this, but I'm just going to call out at random different numbers. So we're going to be weight shifting in all different directions. So get your body ready, and we're going to 2 o'clock. Bring it back to center. We're going to 5 o'clock and center. 9 o'clock, center. 11 o'clock, center. 3 o'clock, center. 7 o'clock, center. 12 o'clock, center. 10 o'clock, center. 2 o'clock, center. 8 o'clock, center. 8 o'clock, center. 6 o'clock, center. 4 o'clock, center. 11 o'clock, center. 3 o'clock, center. 12 o'clock, center. 6 o'clock, center. 10 o'clock, center. 4 o'clock, center. 7 o'clock, center. 5 o'clock, center. And one more, 6 o'clock, and center. Great job, everyone. All right, so if you have your cushion, grab it, and we're going to put it on the floor. And then if you feel comfortable stepping on, you can have a chair right here for support. And our first exercise here is just feeling where our weight is. Is it in the middle part of our foot? Are we more forward or are we more backwards? So just give everyone a minute to get on their cushion. And then from here, we can work on weight shifting, just moving side to side. And then we can move forward and back. So you probably are going to notice on the foam, you may not be able to go as far, and especially in this forward to back. And now let's work on going in a circle. And so just like when we were on the ground, I want this circle to primarily come from our feet and ankles, not so much our hips. And let's switch directions. And then come back to center. If you feel comfortable, and I'd like you to have a chair right by, is we're going to work on standing on the foam with our eyes closed. This is only if you feel comfortable. You can be holding on to the chair to start. And you can hopefully feel a little bit more of those small adjustments that happened at your foot and ankle as you're standing on this more squishy surface. And eyes open. And you may be wondering, where in real life is standing on a cushion or a piece of foam translating to real life? But if you are out and gardening or walking on uneven surfaces, this is exactly what your foot and ankle has to do to keep you upright. So from here, getting into the middle part of your foot, we're going to work on just adding some head turns. So turning to your right and to your left, trying to keep your posture stacked. And you may find that adding a head turn throws your balance off a little bit. You are hopefully able to stay stable, but you may find that your feet and ankles are working just a little bit harder. One more side to side. All right, and now we're going to work on going up and down. So looking up at the ceiling, coming down to the floor. Up and down. Up and down. Let's do one more. So we're going to do one more round of all of those. If you are looking for more of a challenge, we're going to add in an arm reach with your head turn. So you're going to reach that arm as you're turning and reach, because this is going to naturally facilitate you weight shifting a little bit more. So we're reaching with our head turn and bring it back in. Reach with our head turn and back in. It's like you're trying to get something off of that shelf and back in. Reach and back in. Reach and back in. Reach and back in. Reach and back in. Let's do one more. Reach and back in. We're going to up and down. So when we're looking up, we're going to reach up like we're getting something off of a high shelf, and then drop it down. And reach up, grab it, and then drop it down. Reach up and get it, drop it down. Reach up on that high shelf, drop it down. Let's do two more. Reach up and drop it down. One more. Reach up and drop it down. All right, and then we're back to standing on the foam. We're going to do one more round with eyes closed if you feel comfortable. So just when you're closing your eyes, you're checking in on your feet. Are your toes really pulling into the cushion for you to stay stable, or are they able to stay fairly relaxed? Are you noticing that you're locking out your knees, or are you able to keep a little bend in them? And eyes open. We're going to do one more activity on the foam. So from here, you can hold on, and we're going to work on doing some marching. So as you're marching, really trying to stay tall. Weight shifting through your feet as you're moving side to side. The slower you go, the more challenging it is. All right, bring your feet back to center. We're going to step off of our foam, and you can set your foam off to the side. And what we're going to use next is our chair. So if your chair has rungs, that you can use those as a target. You can either use a lower rung. So my chair has a low and then a medium, and then I could also use the seat of the chair. And so we're going to work on standing tall and doing a foot tap onto the rung of the chair. So we're going to do this as slowly as we can, imagining we're in quicksand while we're doing this. So we're lifting up and tap, and then lowering down. Lift up and tap, and lower down. Up and tap, lower down. Up and tap, and lower. Up and tap, and lower down. Up and tap, lower. Up and tap, lower, up. Let's do two more on each side. All right, now we're going back to our chair for my favorite exercise, stand-ups and sit-downs. But this won't be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday stand-ups and sit-downs. We're going to work on feeling our feet as we're moving forward. Okay, so having your feet about hip distance apart. And what I want us to focus on, we're going to do 15 stand-ups and sit-downs. Is as you're coming forward, feeling that weight shift through your feet, and then really focusing on bringing your hips forward. And then as you're coming down, having control. So this is a no plop zone. We're really focusing on control as you're coming down. All right, and then you can add in your arms. So as you're standing up, you could do a big arm. And then as you sit down, bring your arms forward because they act as a counterbalance. So we're going to do 15 of these. All right, let's go. So 1, and bring it in. Really control it as you come down. And then this is 2. I always talk about how there's an egg on your chair and you don't want to have scrambled eggs. That's something to think about as you're sitting down. This is 3. And 4. And 5. And 6. And 7. Squeeze your tush as you're coming up. And 8. And 9. And 10. As you're sitting down, trying to keep your knees apart, don't let them collapse in. And 11. And 12. And 13. And 14. And one more. 15. Woo! All right, from here, let's cross our leg over, opening up our hip, getting some nice stretching through our hip. You can grow a little bit taller through your spine and then lean forward, which gives a little bit more stretch to your hip rotators. And from here, you can work on pointing your toe down, which helps open up through the front part of our foot. And then you can pull your toes up to get a nice stretch in your arch. And let's float your leg down and switch sides. So growing through our trunk, you can lean forward to open up your hip even more. Get a nice stretch in your hip rotators. And then from here, you can give a pull to your toes to really lengthen through the top part of your foot. And then you can pull up to give a good stretch to your arch. And let's bring your foot down. Let's give a nice stretch to your neck. So bringing your ear to your shoulder, and then you can give an extra pull. So often when we're working on our balance, we may notice that our shoulders are hanging right up here by our ears. And so this helps just lengthen out that upper trap muscle. And bring it up. And then let's do the other side. And bring it in. And then let's finish with just some deep breathing. We'll do 5 big breaths. We're really working on opening our arms. You can do it in sitting, or we can come to standing and working on breathing in. Arms float up, looking up at the ceiling, opening up through our chest, and then relax down and breathe in. And float it down. Breathe in. Float it down. Breathe it in. Float it down. One more, breathe it in. And float it down. Good job, everyone, today. You've crossed the finish line.